Let's call the meeting to order, and we'll do a pledge. Would you stand? Behind you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. I got to do a roll call. I see Molly, Jeff, Amber, Lee's here, Paloma, Pam, Dan. So we have full house. I see the city administrator. I assume we have someone from our city attorney online.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Nicholas Ward Willis with Keenan Bean City Attorney.
Anyone else online? Okay. Just so you know, this is a gavel. You know, I occasionally have to use it. Somehow I think this crowd's going to be pretty well behaved. So, all right, first things first. We have a community segment to honor Pat Kelleher for, I can't even count this high, 54 years of service as a volunteer firefighter. Chief, you want to do the honors, and then I'll come join you?
Good evening. For those who don't know me, my name is Tom Lucchese. I'm the fire chief for City of Beacon. Tonight, I want to recognize and pay tribute to an extraordinary individual, Pat Kelleher, whose commitment to our community safety has spanned an incredible 54 years of service. Throughout these decades of service, Pat has been a beacon of courage and resilience. His selflessness, bravery, and countless acts of heroism have left an indelible mark on the fabric of our city and fire department. Behind every call answered, every fire fought, and every life saved, Pat has always been there, a steadfast pillar of the City of Beacon Fire Department. His commitment extends beyond duty. It reflects a profound sense of community and the sincere, genuine desire to make a positive impact. On behalf of the entire fire department and the City of Beacon, thank you, Pat, for your 54 incredible years of dedication, sacrifice, and service. Thank you very much. The mayor has a platform.
All right, I'll come join you all.
Any way you want. Maybe.
Let's do it at the podium.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out, we'll turn it around. So come join me this side. All right, Pat, come in the middle. There you go. Wow. So Pat, 54, I've only been here 32, so at least I've been here half the time that you've been a volunteer. We are incredibly grateful. You've got a pretty loyal audience here as well to support you. So let me just say, this is presented to Pat Kelleher. Thank you for your 54 years of tireless dedication to the City of Beacon Fire Department, 1970 to 2024. Your knowledge, commitment, and leadership has shaped the department into what it is today. Congratulations on your 54 years of service. Thank you. The podium and microphone are yours. Many envy that opportunity, and I'll give you more than 3 minutes.
Careful.
I don't. I can go more than 3 minutes. These guys will tell you that. But it's been an honor. And a long time. And one of the reasons you stay this long is because it's in your blood. It either is or it isn't. I feel lucky because I leave, and behind me I leave a bunch of guys that you can feel real comfortable as city fathers, that you're well and in good hands with the fire department. I enjoyed my run. I lived with the downs. I enjoyed the ups. If I had to do it again, I'd do it again. Thank you.
The only thing I would add is the most fitting monument to not only Pat's 54 years, but all the service of all the people in the room is across the street getting done. And it looks pretty good right now. It's starting to show. So thank you all so much for all your volunteerism, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you.
Mayor, just wanted to check the
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yep. Anybody else? All right. Chris, you need one? The city need one?
We're good.
We're good?
And Brian, I'll send you what I got.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you.
You should see him go up a ladder. Like he goes up a ladder fast.
You're not all staying for the meeting?
Thank you, Chief.
Former chief. Hey, former chief. And spouse. Hey, Lori. All right, we have one retired cop, too. I was suing. Oh, we have an audience of 1.5, if I count Jeff.
Jeff counts as a full
All right, you count as 2. Okay. I'll give him another minute. And then are you all here with NAMI? NAMI, yeah. Okay, great. You're up next. You're right on time.
And Ben has your slides, and if you want to just advance them, you could say next slide.
Okay, next we also have a community segment for NAMI Mid-Hudson. And I'll ask, is it Joanne, and it looks like Ruben, and maybe Brooke, right?
Yeah,
There's traffic, there's a couple of accidents on the board,
Okay.
Yeah.
and he was stuck, he's coming.
Oh,
Is there any way that you
yeah, we can wait. We just thought you were here, so if you want, yeah, if you're all willing to wait, of
yeah, why
course.
don't you let us know
Yeah.
when they come in, and we'll just continue with the meeting. This wasn't on the voting agenda, so I don't think we need to, we can just fill in once we get.
All right,
Yeah, thank you.
yep. So we'll hold
And-
this item
Yeah,
and just
the-
wait a little
The
while.
bridge is all backed up and
Okay.
a mess.
And then, next item, and we can come back to this whenever you want, is there's a public hearing on parking requirements, and I am looking to adjourn the continuation of that public hearing till April 15th.
Motion to adjourn the minimum parking hearing till April 15th. Second.
Okay, and I'll just point out, we're just not ready yet, so we're still looking at parking stuff. We've actually had a conversation with our parking consultant as well, and there's some interesting ideas, and we're just working on them. Any other comments on this before we adjourn it?
No.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning the public hearing concerning minimum parking requirements to, what date did we motion?
April 15th?
To April 15th, great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you all. This is the first opportunity for public comment. Anyone here who'd like to speak on any topic that you wish, you got 3 minutes. And the list is empty, so I'll take any volunteers. Come on up. Tell us who you are and where you live, or maybe where you work.
Yeah, hi, my name is Rich Kaplan, and I basically live on Main Street in Beacon.
Yes.
Basically. Anyway, I came here representing the entire community, and I'm so happy that we were able to honor a terrific person, and the way you did it, I thought it was just great, and I appreciate the entire community being here. Number two is also like to thank the council for their support for the Beacon St. Patrick's Day Parade of Green. I appreciate everything that you guys did. It's a community parade. Great time for the families to be out there. And I just wanted to make one comment about it because I just think you need to know. My favorite part is after the parade, I come back and there's a family there with like 5 or 6, 7-year-olds, and they're all having a very nice time, and we're talking, and I hear one of the little boys say, "Can we come back next week for this?" It really felt good. That's one of my favorite parts of here. But thank you so much again, okay? And thanks for coming to the parade.
Yep. And Rich, I appreciate your volunteer efforts and all of those involved in making that a fun day for everyone here in Beacon. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else would like to make a public comment? If you need a minute to get seated and situated.
Thank you. My name is Teresa Kraft, Liberty Street, Beacon, New York, for the record. I'd just like to thank everybody for this St. Patty's Day, what's about to come in the door, because it's exciting out there. And I hope someday down the road we pass a resolution to focus on Beacon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the physical public want to make a comment? This is your opportunity to do so. Hearing none, and there will be a second opportunity as well at the end of the meeting. We'll go online. Anyone want to make a comment online? Ben, you want to help us out?
If you're on Zoom and you'd like to make a public comment tonight, please use the raise hand option at the bottom of your screen. If you are joining us on your phone, you need to press *9 to raise your hand. And lastly, if you're joining us on YouTube, you will need to join the Zoom link, which can be found at the Beacon website on our calendar. And that way you would be able to participate with a comment. And so far we have 2 hands raised. Firstly, we have McCall. McCall, you have permission to speak whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Michal. I live in Congressional District 18. I wanted to thank all the volunteer firefighters and especially Pat Callagher. It's an amazing accomplishment to serve the community for so many years. I also wanted to thank you for scheduling the NAMI presentation. Mental health is really important. And lastly, I didn't get a chance to attend the St. Patrick's Day parade, but I heard that it was great. I wanted to turn your attention to a comment from Steve Jacobs in the Highlands Current about the ceasefire resolution. And Steve wrote, "We had proposed that instead of a resolution, the Beacon government facilitate dialogue in the community. The council seems to think that the resolution should come first and then dialogue. I'm waiting to see if it will follow up on that promise or if it's simply hoping that it solved things and can move on. Thank you."
Thank you very much. Ben, anyone else?
Yes, we do have another hand raised. That's Peter. Peter, you have permission to speak whenever you're ready.
Hi, this is Peter Julian. So I just wanted to echo the appreciation for the volunteer firefighters and the incredible 54 years of service that has just been honored tonight. I wanted to thank everyone in the Beacon community and on the council for listening to the community and those of us who worked to try to find some kind of a consensus with the resolution that was passed recently regarding Gaza. I wanted to say Ramadan Mubarak to everyone who is observing. And I also wanted to echo the comments that we just heard about some kind of a process to facilitate community dialogue. I don't feel tensions have eased all that much since the passage of the resolution. I think there's a lot of hurt and hard feelings in the community. I don't know exactly what that process should be, what form it should take. I think there's a lot of challenges to that now because of those hurt feelings and the tension in the community. But I want to encourage the council to be thinking about that and maybe reach out to people who might have expertise in community relations and reconciliation, and be looking for ways to facilitate conversation, dialogue, and reconciliation in the Beacon community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Ben?
There are no further hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. I'll take that as the end of the first period of public comment. There'll be a second one at the tail end of the meeting if you haven't spoken already. And then let's just do reports. You want to start, Dan, and we'll go the other way? Thank you.
No, I just wanted to say that the Parade of Green this year was a great time, and just thank you to everybody who organizes that. And also I just an observation of someone who's in the parade is that it's just really exciting to be walking down the street and seeing people of every stripe in Beacon all out together. It's what's nice about the Spirit of Beacon Day parade. And it had a bit of a healing vibe to it after a lot of the consternation that we've had over the last 7 weeks. So thank you.
Hello, Pam Weatherby. I just wanted to also, Parade of Greens was a lot of fun. I know with anybody who knows my history, I did not always say that day was fun, but the Parade of Greens was a good time, and all looked like they were having a ball, so it was really sweet. And the rain held out just enough. So also, kind of with what people were saying on the online, I feel like the city of Beacon, with the ceasefire resolution, that we need to look at what we said, be it further resolved, that we need to, calls for continued open, honest, respectful, and tolerant conversations among our local community in support of our common humanity. I think the city of Beacon, we need to have a discussion of what are the next steps. I am a little disappointed that I felt like this was the answer. I know the room is empty now, so I guess it answered that. However, I am still hearing people, there's some fear in our community, and there's people hurting, and we do need to have dialogue, and everybody who was in support of this ceasefire resolution, I really wish you'd read it and live by it in this city, because we need it still. And I apologize if this ceasefire resolution made it worse. I apologize. I also wanted, I don't know what the process is, but can we review our meeting rules at some point? Just with all those people speaking, I wanted to see if we could put the City of Beacon residents and business owners first, and then if you're from out of town, if there's enough time, let you speak. But I felt like, it's still our choice, but I feel like if we had some rules, not that rules matter for the most part, but I wanted to put that out there. And then one other thing, I was trying to look, and maybe somebody can let me know where it is there something that says the roles of the city council members and tells us what we are supposed to do and not do? I was trying to find it. I found it for the mayor, city admin, but I couldn't find it for the city council members themselves. So if it's out there, I'd love to see it. And then also just, Pat Kelleher, 54 years, it's amazing. And just looking like I cannot figure out how many years of service were just sitting in this city hall for our fire department. So it really was kind of exciting. I think I probably figured it was at least 500-600, and I'm probably being nice about that. Last thing, this Wednesday, and people may be kicking me on saying this, I have read that the Fishkill Avenue rezoning, the committee meeting is open to the public in the City Hall on Wednesday. That is March 20th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Of course, the public are not able to speak at all, but they are going to be meeting publicly. That's it.
Thanks, Pam. Can I ask you a question? When you said rules for what council is or is not supposed to do, did you mean in terms of our duties, or did you mean in terms of our behavior?
The roles of just, is it listed? Some of the roles are listed for some people, but I couldn't find our roles.
Do you mean, okay, so like our duties and responsibilities?
Yeah.
Okay, as opposed to like our behavior
When I was
or
looking, it was
ethics.
like roles of, and that's what I was going by in the charter. That's,
Yeah. So Mayor, I can certainly assist there and provide some guidance to the council as to the roles and responsibilities pursuant to the New York State City Law, the General Municipal Law, and the City Charter and Code, and provide an overview if you like.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we can do that at a workshop.
Thank you, Pam. And thank you, Nick. I wanted to echo, Pam, your interest in continuing a conversation within council about how we can support community conversations. I feel like I've been working on that in sort of piecemeal with individuals, but would welcome a broader conversation so we can be a little more coordinated. And certainly open to a review of our rules to make sure that public comment is done in a way that is actually supportive, both of our ability to do our jobs and people being able to speak. I know that we have in the past enforced rules that Beacon residents speak first, and I think that it has worked in the past. I would also want to add my thanks to the volunteers on the Parade of Green. Appreciate that event every year. And congratulations to Pat Kelleher on his many years of service. I'll also say Ramadan Mubarak to those who celebrate during Ramadan this season. And I was asked by a constituent to remind folks that if you see a pothole while you're wandering around the city, there is a handy dandy tool on our website at beaconny.gov to make sure the city is aware, and the city is very good at following up on that promptly. And a quick note about my office hours. I apologize that they were not listed on the website correctly. And so I know at least one person tried to come see me on Saturday, but I was there on Sunday. So my apologies for that. My office hours are almost always on second Sundays. And that means my next one is April 14th from 4 to 6 p.m. I have not decided on a location yet, but I will let the public know when I have. Thanks.
All right. I will also say that I think the council can take a leadership position in some kind of community dialogue and would like to workshop ideas for helping our community work through things together. I noted, for example, that there was a Braver Angels session in Cold Spring regarding polarization. So I think there's plenty of resources in our community and would just like to discuss that. Also agree on prioritizing comments from Beacon community members, especially when there are quite a lot of people who are looking to speak. I will also echo the comments on Parade of Green. It was a lovely day, and thank you so much and for inviting us, and it was lovely to be a part of it. And a great tradition that I know takes a lot of time and effort every year, so thank you. And then I will turn my attention to trash, because talking trash is one of my favorite things. A little reminder about compost, that there are no BPI plastics accepted in our bins. And if you are using compostable diapers, those are not compostable in our bins. The rule of thumb that you can go by is if you would put it in your mouth, you can put it in the bin. So let's go with that and try and keep things that are not food products or that are plastics or other household products out of the compost bins. Some of us had the opportunity to go on a tour of the recycling plant, so thank you to Faye for organizing that. And I have 2 tips that I would pass along. One is that almost any plastic can go in recycling as long as it's clean. If you see any number on the bottom of the container, you can put it in the recycling bin. Don't worry about whether it's a 4 or 5, whatever. If it's got a number, put it in there. And also, please try to make sure your cardboard is dry. If all your boxes got rained on, maybe let them dry out and put them out on the curb next week. But those are 2 tips I learned that I wanted to pass along. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Amber. That's some very common themes tonight, so I'll try to go quickly over some of the things. But I want to thank everyone who has contacted me, people who, and the people with whom I've scheduled one-to-one meetings. There's been quite a few of them this month. And if I have not replied to your email, I do apologize. I'm still trying to catch up on those. But please do contact me if you would like to meet for a one-on-one meeting. I'll say now in advance, not afterwards, but I'm very pleased to have the presentation by the National Alliance on Mental Health tonight. mental illness. As you've heard me say, and I will continue to do so, that I believe there is a mental health crisis which must be addressed and which may stand in the way of us making progress towards being the sustainable community that we aspire to be. Many people have contacted me, both in person and by writing, with concerns about what they witnessed here in City Council over the last many weeks, and they're reporting incidents that they've experienced in and around our city. And I think that my biggest concern is the message that that sends to our broader community, in particular to our kids. I want to note, make sure everyone's aware that there are some amazing practices that I'm aware of that are happening in our schools right now, restorative justice practices in our classrooms where they're teaching the kids how to treat each other respectfully and how to deal with disagreements. And I am very much deeply involved in trying to identify ways that we can do that in Beacon. I've had a number of calls and looking forward to coordinating with my fellow council people about how we can best go about this. I'm receiving guidance on best practices and suggestions on options we have for engaging in this. There are resources around here, but it's a requirement that this is, I think I'm a little concerned actually about the word dialogue, because there is more than just two sides that needs to be brought together. There are many sides, many perspectives, many concerns, many issues that are beyond what we're paying attention to. And that is truly what's part of the proper method, is about listening. And I want to encourage and I want to foster that listening that will help us to move forward in the way we need to. Please stay tuned also, that I've been exploring with some of my colleagues up here some very interesting ways to make it easier for community members to contact us, to identify topics of interest and or express concern. It's part of the spectrum of methods that I think we need to offer to our community members to be part of a community and to find a way to build community together. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. To echo people have said, thank you so much to Pat Kelleher and your 54 years of service. That is amazing. And to all the volunteer firefighters who helped build Beacon into the community it is today. And thank you also to the Parade of Green volunteers. It was a fabulous time. I bring my son out on the parade. I try to bring my kids out onto every parade, but I will say that that is his favorite parade to be out on. And so it's just great to be a part of that and the community. To echo what Amber said about recycling in Beacon, we had a chance to tour the plant that actually, I don't know for those, I didn't know this beforehand, but our recycling that gets picked up in Beacon is actually recycled here in Beacon too, as well within our city limits. And actually they said that they only have 10% of the recycling that ends up in their center then has to be comes out as waste at the other end as opposed to being sold on. And so that's a great testament to all that you're doing. And if you want to find out more about some of the great tips that Amber mentioned, there's a website that it's the Republic Services, who is the company that runs our local recycling center, and there's a website called recyclingsimplified.com, all one word, Recycling Simplified, and they recommended that for some great tips about some of the things that Amber mentioned. I just had my office hours yesterday, so I don't have any more scheduled for March, but if you are interested, please feel free to reach out to me on the website, and I'll be happy to schedule it. I will have some in April as well, just don't quite have the time set up for that. And last but not least, as the weather starts to get warmer, we have more people outside, and sometimes that's a time of year when people have questions about our noise ordinance. So if you have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out to your city council member, and we're happy to follow up with you about what is allowed and not allowed if you have any questions about that or any concerns. And with that, I will pass it to Lee.
So I have the good fortune of going last by choice. Everything has been said, so I don't have to repeat very much. I'll just add a personal comment. I think most of you are aware that my family's from the island of Cyprus. They're Greek Cypriot immigrants. My parents were. And I just note in the news that the first aid vessel that arrived in Gaza came from Cyprus. They've been working as a country very quietly to make that happen, and having a ship being able to come in is a huge opportunity in terms of opening up the aid spigot. They've had to work with the EU, of which there's a member state, the US, the UK, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel to make this work. Israel does inspections on the island, therefore making it much easier to aggregate aid and move it in huge bulks. So I do that with some sense of pride. It's not really a city issue, but I just thought I'd let you know. That's all I got. I'll pass it along because everyone else has covered the issues, I think, of relevance for this past couple of weeks. I'll pass it along to the city administrator.
I don't have anything, Lee.
Okay. I think the building across the street speaks for itself, right? They've started to unveil the facade, and the facade looks great. So, city attorney, anything?
No, Mayor, sorry about that. Nope, nothing to update.
All right. Let's go on to local laws and resolutions. And so the first one is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute an extension agreement with Royal Karting. That's for waste collection. Chris, will you tell us a little bit about it, and then I'll get a motion in second?
You want to do the motion and second
I
first?
can do it either way. Let's do the motion and second first, because he asked for it.
Motion, or second.
So Paloma and Amber, then you want to tell us some more now?
Sure. We discussed this in last week's workshop. We had originally come into an agreement with Royal Karting back in 2018 for the pickup of household waste and recycling. For the household waste, they dispose of it and pick it up. For the recycling, they pick it up, and then we pay separately to Republic Services, which you got a tour of last week. We have, looking ahead, we knew that garbage could go up substantially, and I worked with Royal to see if they would carry their 2024 price through the end of 2025, and they've agreed to do that. So with the cost of labor and fuel going up, I think this is a good deal. They basically haven't raised their rates since the original agreement, other than for the garbage component of it. So the pickup is the same. If you approve this, then we will be set through the end of next year. The reason I'm bringing it this early in the year is because if we weren't going to do that, we'd need to engage a whole nother process to figure out how to scope a bid on this. But we've had good experience with them lately. We are tracking the complaints going forward just to check in on that. But we only had 2 this year so far, which is pretty good.
Thank you for that.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Okay. So let's take a vote on, this is on authorizing the city administrator executing an extension agreement with Royal Karting to continue our waste collection here in the city. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the other one is to set a public hearing, so I'm looking for a motion and a second to set a public hearing on the Restore New York grant for 35 Henry Street. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
That was
Second.
Pam and Molly. Chris, you'll tell us a little bit about this one too?
Yes.
Thank you.
As we discussed in workshop last week, we were approached by the owners of 3-5 Henry Street, who came and presented about their project, which they call Garage Works. They are looking to put in a grant application through the Restore New York grant program, which requires the city to be the applicant. They basically are putting together all of the materials and doing all of the administration. We're basically just being the sponsor and getting paid back for anything that we do. So one of the requirements of that is on sometime in April we have to have a public hearing. So we were going to set it for April 1st, and this sets that so that we can then notice the meeting. The building is it's almost 11,000 square feet. It's an all-green net zero building. They did already receive grant funding through NYSERDA, which is the New York State Energy Research Development Authority. This money through ESD, or Empire State Development, would basically fill part of his financing and allow him to, he's investing a lot of money in an old building that I think a lot of other people would have just torn down. So,
any discussion or questions?
Can you clarify what the use of the public hearing is? Is it for our benefit, or is it for the grantor's benefit?
it's a requirement of the grantor.
But will the comments heard in the public hearing be considered as part of the application? Is that the intention? Since we've already sent in our letter of intent, I'm just trying to understand the purpose of
Well, we
the
have to pay,
hearing.
I think one of the other requirements was that we also had to have a resolution, right? So would
Yes.
this be related to the resolution?
Yeah, this is
Correct, so
informing
the-
your resolution.
I see, okay.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, the intent of this, the public hearing is a requirement of the grant program. In some years or cases, you may have multiple applicants, and then the city would be holding a public hearing to see which among the many applicants would it be supporting. In this case, there's only one applicant, but you're still required to hold a public hearing, and you would see if there's any comments on this particular project. But basically, the purpose of it is to vet which one the city would be supporting and moving forward.
And this is the only one that's come forward in the
Correct.
3 years I've been here. And the only reason I would entertain it is they basically are packaging the whole thing and doing all of the work. And it gives us an opportunity to learn how the program works.
Right, so there will be additional resolution after this hearing that would
Yes.
come through council? Okay.
Yes, as a result of this hearing, there is a resolution required to be submitted with the grant application. And so we'll work with the applicant on having that prepared after the hearing.
Yeah, I've gotten some interesting emails and feedback from the public already about this potential grant. So I look forward to continuing to hear from the public about this project and the potential for this.
Okay.
But just to clarify, so we have a decision to make. Does it have influence on whether we support the project as a city or not at this point? Or is it?
You're setting a public hearing tonight.
Correct.
That's the sole purpose of this resolution.
Understood. But then afterwards.
If you don't support it, then we shouldn't do any more. We should stop right now. I didn't hear, again, like, there was no one else who came forward about the grant. The grant is a state grant that otherwise would go to some other municipality. We don't have a lot of properties that are considered blighted, and oftentimes with Empire State development programs, we've been viewed as too successful. You know, our Main Street has revitalized. When we've gone for DRI or downtown revitalization grants, they basically said, well, your Main Street is already successful. So this was to see if we could get any kind of program money through ESD. This is one of the few buildings, I think, that would actually be eligible. So again, if you don't support it, then let's not go any further. But again, we had a pretty nice presentation last week. No one voiced any questions about it at that time.
Yeah, but that said, there will still be a public hearing, and we'll still have an opportunity to do a resolution thereafter.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's not about the competition necessarily within Beacon for the funding, because it goes to a private developer. I guess it's the competition for the broader pool of funds with other communities that might have properties that potentially are more aligned with the intent. That's what I see as the decision that I guess I didn't quite understand. We were not at a decision point for.
Yeah, this one I think is just setting the public hearing. As long as we're all comfortable doing that, we can certainly hear more as we
Yeah, I was
get.
definitely interested in hearing the public's response to it,
Yep.
but then I was wondering what the decision point afterwards would be.
Yep, I think that's a resolution, right? Nick?
Correct.
Okay. All right, other questions, comments on this? Okay, so this is for setting a public hearing for April 1st, is that
Yes.
right? All right, so all in favor of setting a public hearing for a Restore New York grant for 3 to 5 Henry Street for April 1st, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. I would suggest that we go back to the community segment if we're ready. All right. So Nami, you want to come up and introduce yourselves, and the floor is yours. Let us know about how long your public segment will be, your community segment.
Well, mine's only going to be a couple minutes. I think theirs is about the 10 that was asked. I'm Ruben Simmons. I'm the executive director for IM Beacon and 22-year employee with the City of Beacon Highway and a resident in the City of Beacon in Ward 4. I'd just like to say good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with our partners from NAMI, George and Joanne. I will be handing the floor over to them shortly, but before I do, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the mission of I Am Beacon. As many of you know, that our organization is committed to inspiring and empower all individuals to make a positive contribution through the community by giving back. We tackle various issues that affect our community. Do you have the slides?
Yeah,
Ben?
they'll be up when you're ready, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you can put them.
I didn't know Ben was behind the scenes.
You can just say next slide whenever you want me to move forward.
Okay, thank you. So we tackle various issues through that affected our community. And one that has been close to our hearts for many years is mental wellness. You click to the next slide. The next slide. There you go. As you can see, you might have participated in our Rock Out for Mental Health in 2019. We're hoping to bring it back, but we all know what happened in 2020. You might have watched our PSA campaign or engaged in our hashtag Join the Conversation series of where we talk about a lot of things with mental health with people that are professionals in the industries. And you could check out the podcast at wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. It's called This Is Beacon, where we delve into crucial topics surrounding mental health. Or also, as you can see on the third picture, perhaps your child has attended the back-to-school block party where they received information with mental health services in their starter kit at our annual block party. Next slide. Today, I want to shine a spotlight on a long-running program, the National NAMI Ribbon Campaign. We've been involved with this since 2014. And I'm proud to showcase some of the photos from the inaugural year all the way up into 2022, the most recent year that we participated. At this time, I'm going to pass it over to Joanne and George, who will delve deeper into the significance of this campaign. But before I do, I just want to emphasize that our commitment to this cause remains unwavering. We plan to continue the efforts, and we're counting on your support to ensure the success. Thank you once again for your time and dedication to this important cause. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of those struggling with the mental health challenges. Joanne and George.
Thank you, Ruben. It was an interesting way getting here on the road. I spent 45 minutes on 9D and was texting Joanne back and forth. If I don't make it, she'll have to talk. If you can have the first slide, please.
Thank you.
The NAMI slide, if you go forward.
I'm sorry, can you speak into the microphone? I can't hear you very well.
Sorry. If you can move to the next slide, please. The agenda slide. Okay. What I like to do is walk you through essentially what our mission is and tell you who we are, what we do, and more importantly really is why we're here. We are here to get approval to share with you, with the community in Beacon, Mental Health Awareness Month, which is done during the time of May. And also to ask for a proclamation declaring May of this year is Mental Health Awareness Month. What I'll do next is walk you through and explain the process that we follow. And it is of no cost to Beacon, and it's actually very beneficial to the Beacon participants. And I'll give you an overview of the past partnering we've done with I Am Beacon on mental health awareness and outreach to the community. If you go to the next slide. In terms of who we are, NAMI is basically a local nonprofit. We've been around since 1981, and we're an affiliate of NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And we basically are dedicated to improving the individual lives and families that are affected by mental health conditions. And we focus on evidence-based education programs, recovery-focused support, and advocacy. So our mission is basically to provide education, support, and advocacy for individuals living with mental health challenges. And our vision and strategy is that we envision a world where all people affected by mental health conditions live healthy, fulfilling lives supported by a community that cares.
And Joanne has been doing this for over 10 years and certainly participating in the Beacon community as well as in Ulster and Dutchess counties. Now, if you go to the next slide, please, just a very bird's eye view of what we do. We have a lot of programs that we leverage from NAMI National. And the 4 key ones that I'll just briefly touch on are the Family to Family. That's an 8-week class for family members with loved ones who have a mental health issue, and this helps them navigate mental health crises. Family support groups, those go hand in hand with the Family to Family, because many of the families that go to the Family 8 class go to the family support groups. These are done each week 4 times a month. And then Ending the Silence, which is very important to the youth of the community here. And basically,
we've been doing Beacon High School since 2014 with our Ending the Silence program. We go in twice a year. We follow the schedule of the health class, and we present a 25-minute PowerPoint to the students, and then a young adult tells their story of their mental health journey. It saves lives, that people that are struggling or their friends, they now know what to do, have a trusted adult in mind, or the resources that are available. Teacher gives them extra credit to download the Dutchess County Helpline or have 988 in their phone, and it really is life-saving.
okay. So we have, as I said, many other classes in educational programs that we provide, but very importantly, the educational classes and the support groups are provided free. There's no cost associated with it to all participants, whether they are members of NAMI or not. So NAMI teaches that mental health conditions are no one's fault. If you can move on to the next slide. Just very briefly, mental health conditions are essentially medical illnesses that change how people feel, think, and act. And 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. experience mental health conditions throughout their lifetime, and then 1 in 5 adults actually between the age of 13 and 18 have experienced mental health conditions, and this has been exacerbated after the COVID activities. So stigma is a major reason why people do not speak out. If you go to the next slide, really this is the reason why we're here today. We really would like to, this year, with your cooperation and approval, display ribbons and signs in Beacon to notify the people about where they can get help from NAMI Mid-Hudson. And the 4 bullets here describes the reasons why I think this is important. It's symbolism. The ribbons and signs serve as powerful symbols. The green ribbon is basically an internationally recognized symbol for mental health. And by displaying these prominently, we demonstrate our commitment, and also Beacon, to understanding, supporting, and advocating for individuals that have mental health conditions. Why visibility? Well, that's important because hanging the ribbons and signs in the areas in the community ensures maximum visibility, and passerbys will be reminded of the importance of mental health and encouraged to seek support when they need it, and then they would know where to go and get it. Community engagement is important. I'm sure that's why we're all here today, because these decorations essentially foster a sense of community engagement in Beacon and the other communities where we share this information. And then lastly, it fights stigma, because mental health stigma is probably the most important, significant barrier to seeking help. So our visual campaign aims to reduce stigma by normalizing conversations about mental health and well-being. The next slide summarizes, in essence, what we're asking approval for. We want to have community outreach and awareness. So we would place the ribbons on trees and flags as shown in the picture there. You see a ribbon, and Joanne has one in her hand, that we put on a tree. And then we have signs, typically these are like 2.5 by, I guess, 1.5 feet, that are put into the ground in place for people to see as they move through the town. Now, the process that we use is we have a volunteer who is assigned to manage essentially the placement and the removal of the signs and ribbons by the end of the month. The items are not permanently attached, and they're designed really for quick removal because we do reuse them. And lastly, without displaying, we can only reach the families that we already know about, NAMI Mid-Hudson, and that we may have on their mailing list. Very quickly, I'll just share with you some of the past interactions in partnership we've had with Ruben and Brooke in terms of reaching out to the community here in Beacon. The next slide, please, shows you we participated in the Rock Out for Mental Health. It shows you these activities actually took place way back many years. So these are important. We want to continue that. The next slide shows you in 22, we did participate with Beacon, and we had ribbons and signs. And I Am Beacon and NAMI Mid-Hudson encouraged the youth in Beacon to learn about mental health. And you can see here young Girl Scouts hanging ribbons with adult supervision. And the reason this is important, because you start when the children are young, and this helps to develop positive youth development. Next slide is probably one of the most important ones, and you don't have to read it, but if you look at the section that is highlighted in the green rectangle, this is from one of the school health teachers, and what she said basically was, this is where Joanne goes in with her team and presents Ending the Silence to the students in high school and middle school. And the teacher said, the students are listening. This presentation gave me the tools to work with students, and what I have learned helped me to save a student, because as a result of this, actually this happened, and she was able to contact the appropriate authorities to help the student, so the student would not commit suicide. Lastly, a couple more charts here. The next slide just shows you that last year we participated in Dutchess community areas and towns and villages. The only town or city that was not in this group was Beacon, unfortunately. And we had ribbons hung and signs throughout all the villages and many of the towns in both counties. Next slide. So lastly, in closing thoughts, what I'd just like to say is we are on a journey to enhance our outreach to all the communities, and in particular also to Beacon. And we want to improve family stability and mental health wellness. And you've probably heard the saying that without mental health, there is no physical health. So we want to thank you for listening, and we can use your help to achieve our goals in partnering with I Am Beacon, Brooke, and Ruben to allow us to hang the ribbons and the signs in the town during the month of May.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from council?
I just want to say thank you again.
I would like to have a conversation at workshop, because the lawn signs are not allowed under our code. We have also had a multi-year campaign to try to get our lamp posts back into shape, and some of those are being painted. So we did not approve this last year, and I would like the attorney to chime in at a workshop.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Then we can certainly do proclamation. That's certainly not a problem. Yes. Happy to do that. All right. And so we'll take up this as a topic in workshop, probably the next one.
Yeah, I would like to discuss, I definitely appreciate the lamp posts and all of that. Maybe there's some trees or other things that we could identify that would be a way to show support without necessarily impacting the light posts and all of that. So I look forward to discussing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just second what Amber said and also what Jeff said. Look forward to the discussion, and thank you for all the work you do in this community.
I just had a question, and if you don't have an answer, that's fine. I'm curious, you gave statistics about sort of mental health in the U.S., and I'm wondering in the Mid-Hudson Valley if you're seeing any particular trends or any particular changes over the last several years, anything you're aware of that would be helpful for us to know as community leaders as well.
The Sure, I mean, we can provide that, but actually, one of the benefits...
Oh, if you can
We
come
need
to
you to use
the
the mic.
microphone, sorry, just so
Please.
we're recording the meeting as well.
I know I
so.
talk loud, but maybe not in this room here. We definitely want to, you could leverage the NAMI National resources, because they put a lot of energy and effort into it, and there's a lot of statistics about, you know, the mental health in the area, but I can tell you, in terms of what we've done is, it's basically the 1 in 5, but they have a lot of good infographics describing essentially what happened as a result of COVID. COVID had a great impact on, you know, isolating people, keeping kids from their peers, so it had a great impact on their mental health. But like in terms of what we've done this past year, in a snapshot, Joanne and her team presented to over 1,500 students at schools, middle and high school, including Beacon. Actually, we go there twice a year, and to the high schools and middle schools in Dutchess and Ulster County, and presented Ending the Silence. And the way it works is, well, actually, she could talk to her better than I do. She's the lead presenter, and actually Rob Brown. And the most important part is that there's a young adult that has been through recovery, that had experienced a mental illness. So that young adult that relates to the same age group that is in high school, the students really relate to the talk that young adult presents, because they can then learn how that individual navigated through the health crisis that they went through. So this really opens up the window for the students to talk with the teachers, to talk with the parents about mental health in a way that is very productive and allows them to learn about the early warning signs of mental health and get help.
I just want to say, so as far as trends go, I mean...
We need you to use the mic,
The
please.
students, as far as trends go. Middle school, we've been requested now Ending the Silence in middle school as well as high school because they're, you know, really struggling, young. So many families that do find NAMI Mid-Hudson, because we're not just about NAMI, we're about Mental Health America of Dutchess County, you know, I Am Beacon, any 211, United Way, whatever the resources the family needs, we help connect them. So we're all about collaboration in the community, and we partner with everybody, because it takes a community sometimes to keep somebody well and in the community. And the reason we got involved, most of us are involved with NAMI, is because you're going along life and all of a sudden your loved one has a mental health condition, and I knew nothing. So found NAMI along with other agencies and got educated so that our loved ones can live their best life and stay safe and connected to the community. So Beacon's no different. You know, we're conducting a family-to-family class right now. We have 3 a year, and it ends tomorrow, and there's Beacon residents in there as well as the whole community in Dutchess. It's so busy because mental health affects everyone. And I always think at some point we're going to slow down, not have a waiting list, and it never happens. So it's just really important. The trend that I think everybody saw, Dutchess County, because we attend the Dutchess County Department of Behavioral Community Health, we partner with them. I think increase in suicide in men, you know, because they're responsible for their family, and since COVID, there's been a lot of pressure on them. So I think that increase was a big trend that we did see as well. But again, we present Ending the Silence to the communities, the schools, families, staff, to try to really educate everyone so that we can support one another. It's called Ending the Silence because we got to end the silence and be okay to talk about mental health. You know, people say they're sad, depressed, and we all don't know what to say. And this equips us that we need to say, are you okay? You know, let's make this phone call together and know the resources. Because mental health is not on the same plane as physical health. We all know that, right? We can support someone with cancer, but mental health, we kind of shy away and we don't know what to do. There's a stigma attached. So we try to break that and let people know it's okay to not be okay. There is help and hope, and let's support one another. And it goes for all of us, right? Neighbors, coworkers, family members, everybody. Because 1 in 4 adults, you know, in the next year will struggle with some kind of mental health. So we want to be there to support one another. This classes and the groups that we have are life-changing. It really lets the family know you're not alone. It's going to be okay, and we're going to help you attach to all the resources you can. And these ribbons, we get phone calls, and that's why we want to keep them going in Beacon. All of a sudden, we just couldn't do it, and now here comes the campaign again, and we really want to see Beacon back involved, because we do get phone calls. People say, what's that? Find Help, Find Hope, NAMI Mid-Hudson, Mental Health Awareness, and they call and they email. So it does work, and people see it, and it does draw attention, and then they finally make that phone call, and get the help that they need and support.
And while we have you here and you're talking about people reaching out and getting the help they need, I know you mentioned 988 earlier. If you maybe just want to say very briefly what that is, and also how people can contact you for anybody watching this meeting.
So
maybe not you specifically,
Yeah.
but Namie.
So 988 is in full effect, and I know this fact that if you have a cell phone, 845 area code, and you do contact the Dutchess County Helpline, because that's still available as well, and we recommend everybody download that app and have it in their phone. Dutchess County Helpline. Talk or text 24/7, and they even have a mobile team that can come out and check on somebody. And they have a stabilization center at 230 North Road, in between Mike Ortega's gym and the Palace Diner, that's walk-in 24/7 for mental health and substance abuse. So we make sure everybody knows about that. So 988, if somebody's struggling, you do not have to be thinking about ending your life. You're just really struggling. Instead of 911, you can call 988.
Or text.
Yes, 988. And if you do Dutchess County Helpline and your area code's 845, you're going to get 988. You call 988, you're 845, you're getting Dutchess County Helpline. It's all in one. So it's just a really good resource. When people are worried about a loved one, instead of calling 911, there are crisis intervention team-trained officers, troopers, et cetera, because Dutchess County made a huge effort to educate the law enforcement. But 988 is the number to call for mental health crisis, or Dutchess County Helpline as well.
Thank you.
And then NAMI Mid-Hudson. So NAMI's in Virginia, main headquarters. Our state office is in Albany, called NAMI New York State, and we are NAMI Mid-Hudson, and we serve Dutchess, Ulster County. And our number is 845-206-9892, and the email is contact@NAMIMidHudson, all one word, .org. And then our website is NAMIMidHudson.org.
Thank you.
Just one point. I did want to answer Molly about the trends. As you saw earlier, we said 1 out of 5 youth basically does come down with a mental illness. As a result of the COVID, actually, from the infographics that was generated by NAMI National, in conjunction with National Institute of Mental Health, the numbers increased by 18% for young adults. So the trend was up as a result of the COVID. And lastly, we would love to hang the ribbons and put banners, but we would adhere to wherever you want us to place them only, and not just willy-nilly any place.
Okay.
And just history-wise, I do want to let the members of the council know who weren't here in 2022 that one of our community investment grant awards was to NAMI Mid-Hudson, and it was $3,400 for Ending the Silence presentations, family-to-family classes, and weekly support groups.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Thank you very much. So next item is the approval of the minutes of March 4th. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
So that was Molly and Dan. Any corrections, additions, et cetera?
Not a correction, just a acknowledgement of all the great work that Ben did, and Chris supported him as well, and just getting all of the things we did, particularly around the resolution, in the minutes. And I don't have any edits to that, just wanted to acknowledge that work.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes of March 4th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so just so you know, our next meeting will be on March 25th at 7 p.m. It will be a workshop meeting, and this is our second opportunity for public comments. Anyone who did not make a comment in the first opportunity would like to do so now. I think we're good indoors. Ben, anyone online?
No hands raised online.
All right, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
You have to announce the next meeting.
He
Oh,
did.
I just did.
He did.
He did
Oh,
before
we did?
the public
Second.
comment.
I said Dan and Amber. Any discussion? Would we like a public hearing on this, or can we just go to a vote? Okay. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all, and
Thank
good
you,
night.
Nick.
Thanks,
Good
Nick.
night, thank you.
All right.
Record.